Yay.
This meeting is being recorded.
Cool, fantastic. So, hello, y'all. This is Saturday, April 23rd. Um, we're gonna learn about the master position tracker slash placement sheet slash a lot of stuff. Um, this is what we are gonna learn today. And did I lose you, Android? Are you here?
No, I'm still here. Just muted. Hi, everyone.
Oh, okay, cool. It's just I couldn't see your face, and I was like, oh boy.
Yeah, I stopped my camera as well, but I'm here. Full attention.
Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah, no worries. So, cool. So this is a position tracker, this is a very big sheet. And let me tell you that this is probably the largest, more robust spreadsheet that we have. Um, and it undergoes a lot of changes all the time. So yes, we are still, there's a lot of things that we should change about this spreadsheet, um, but things that we are learning and things that we would like to implement in the future. But bear with me as we walk through all these little sheets here and we learn how this works. I have the code here. Also, we're going to talk about the code, but first I will explain what these things are. So basically, this is a dashboard, and here we have manifest dashboard, which was created recently. And then we have this Spring dashboard, which is a hard copy of of manifest in fall. It's just these two exist because Tina likes to have hard copies for our records of what were the latest positions and details by the end of the semester. And then we have dashboard, which is also a hard copy of values. As you can see here, there are no formulas. Now, okay, there are no formulas and whatever. Now, one thing about this is um, this is the one that is currently happening. Manifest dashboard. You see that we have some formulas here. We are like querying some data from other sources and mainly the master DB, and which I'm going to show you in a minute. But basically, this is all the information that CTD, aka Dan, has requested to have accessible by the time a position happens or a student is placed. It's like gets a position, whatever. So to show you how it actually works, we have all these. Oh, what did I do? Sorry. So to show you how this actually works, we get all this data, and these are hard copies from students, like all this personal information, and we only need these three things to then query for all the other stuff. So here we query for citizenship, graduation date, whether this person is eligible or not, the rotation, all this stuff. Now, Dan comes here and he can update the role, the manager, probably the salary too when applicable, but not anymore. And then whether it's like official or an update or something. And then here we bring all the other stuff like, sorry, the Paycom ID, the Paycom manager, all this stuff. Okay, so basically what happens is all this information is something that Dan can see and says, I'm going to change this position to X, right? And that's what's going to happen. And I'm going to change this manager to Y. And then we get all the data and we do a lot of stuff with it. Probably there are things that Dan doesn't need to see. Probably these, for example, is too big. I'm thinking that all this from Paycom ID to all this information is more like something that Dan doesn't need to see. But oh, actually, no, I remember why. It's because this department is filled up by Dan too. So yeah, I mean, he does the changes. He like selects people for positions, assigns to managers, blah, 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 blah. and everything is reflected here. And with this information that we do other stuff. Um, Up to here, any questions about where this, about what this does? It's pretty simple.
No, really, looks good.
Okay, cool. Now this one is also important. I think halfway through the semester, he wanted to have access to what is the average hours that these students have, or how many hours they have. Um, and something that, we can keep adding. And then this comes from the Paycom year-to-date analysis. We already had a training about this. About, we import a report from Paycom and then things happen and we bring things here. Then the other thing is the fall spring update. If this is basically a way to compare what is the field that we have here in some of the fields that then can change, or fields that are changeable, right, in general, because the Paycom ID is never going to change. The their citizenship is likely not going to change, stuff like that. So those are the things that we check for. And if they are true, that means that there is a difference between this copy and dashboard. Dashboard is a hard copy of the previous pay period, and it gets updated every time the pay period ends. We get a new copy of this one. Well, actually, it was like that. Now we do it, this is a copy, and then every 2 weeks, there is a check that goes row by row. And if it's true, it makes a comparison, sends an email saying, hey, this is like what happened, and then it copies the entire row that we have here, only the values to here. And then this one is not true anymore, right? So that's what happens, because now all the values are the same because we just, hard copied it. But this is basically how we do there was a change in your position email heads up, right? So yeah.
Speaking about this, like whenever a student's position change, we don't send offer letters, do we?
No, we don't. That's a great question. When a position changes, we don't send offer letters. We just send an email saying
Okay.
this is your new position. Yeah, great question. Yeah, and this was decided by Nico, to be completely fair. So let's go to Alfonso. Oh, I don't have a position. Yikes. Anyways, now the cool thing about this is that I understand that it's very hard to see this and like check it and say, hey, we made these changes and we are gonna have to do them on Paycom. How do we keep track of these things? So what we have implemented is I'm gonna do MU, and if you see, once I clicked MU, some things should happen here, but I will continue. I'm gonna say finance intern, and then I will do, oh, I see why it's not working. Since this is a new sheet, I need to change this to current dashboard sheet name. You see, this shouldn't be sprint, should be manifest. And then I'm gonna save. And then I will say MU, and I will say finance. Oops, sorry. Finance intern. And you see that when I typed MU, this automatically populated as unassigned. This is part of the code that we have in the backend, because students in MU, they shouldn't have a project code. This is only available for students in MP, Minerva project. I'm gonna add Tina, and then I will do an MP here. And I think that when I do MP, this hopefully will change to a dropdown, the unassigned. But if it doesn't, then we can think about something. One of the areas of opportunity for this one is that it's not very performative. As you can see, I do a change, then it takes some time for this change to be reflected. Um, and probably there are ways to catch. Oh yeah, it changed to a drop-down menu. And when it changed to a drop-down menu, we have all the things here. So as you can see, it's not very fast, right? And these might like undermines like Dan's job because he might want to do things faster and whatnot. But I can see that probably when we talk about the code, there are places that we can think of making these more performative, if that makes any sense. And that could be a good summer project. Now, what happens when I change this thingy? Something was loading. It's not just a change of the, unassigned and everything. If I change here the manager to, I don't know, then, oops, then Herme or whatever, all these other values should change to whatever was assigned here. They're not changing. Why? Oh, interesting. Because they're supposed to look for this for J. Oh yeah, it
Maybe you
changed
should
now.
wait a bit. Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, this is a pretty slow. Okay, it's slower than I thought. Yeah, we might need to get some like performance analysis of what we are having here, but the principle is the same. We want to have an automated way. We want to have as the least points of failure for this. That's why we give then, drop down menus. Like this is a menu of managers that you can add because it correlates with the managers that we have on Paycom. Sometimes he adds a manager and he like types it down and then says, this is a new manager, it needs to be on Paycom. So then Holly goes to Paycom, adds the manager, we get a report, we update the master DB, and now this manager is available here for forever. So those are the things that happen that we need to be aware of. And then all this information comes with. Why is this important? Because every update that happens also happens here. Oops. You see that all these updates is a huge log. We're in the 2000s things. And every time something happens, it's reported here. For example, we changed the project code to unassigned, changed the company to MU. The manager was Tina Lowe. We changed to MP unassigned. And then we changed to Daniel Corme and Antonio Berman. Right. Something interesting here is that I don't see the finance intern change. Let's see. Where is this? We're gonna say sweet.
Well, we don't even need that. That's just like a name position. It's nowhere updated in Paycom.
Oh, that's why. Okay. Oh well, it also does the role. Oh, okay. Maybe it didn't catch it with all the changes. It was too fast. Yeah, as you can see. Oh, I changed for Emil. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, I changed this for Emil, not for me. My bad. Emil, you're going back. Yeah, this is me. Yeah, it's weird. It's supposed to do the role too, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, actually, in the past I remember it did the role. Yeah, it's there.
Yeah, that's weird. But hey, no worries. It happens sometimes. So yeah, I think probably a good way to do is to like make an analysis, see how performative this is. Because I think at the moment it's tracking, it's expecting changes for all the fields. Well, that shouldn't happen. But anyhow, like the good thing about this is that it makes the changes, it reports them here, and then members of the finance team can go to this place and do, well, this change, let's have everything on Paycom as it is. If that's not enough, we also have here the Paycom dashboard matching, which based on the latest Paycom report, we bring this data and then we match it, try to match it. We have the, the placement sheet data, and then we have the Paycom data from the report. And we say, is this matching? There are some elements that match, like employee status, if it's active or not. Department match, it doesn't match, also doesn't match. Maybe we can add some color code here, conditional formatting. If it's false, mark it as red or something like that. I don't know. But the idea is that folks can also come here and do the false true, give me everything that is false in this column and give me everything that is also false in this column, and so on and so forth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, well, but this one, I mean, not at the same time, because then it's going to be false if, but yeah, and then we only have one
The
person.
role doesn't really matter. And also, worst case, that will usually tag someone and then just go there, see what are the changes and update them.
Yeah. Yeah, so there, I mean, these like information is power. Yeah, just kidding. It's just we have a lot of data and we have implemented a lot of ways for us to have data available, accessible, reliable. So we can do this type of tools to match things and make sure that everything is like correct. Okay. Any questions so far? No?
No.
Okay. Let's just go through a couple other things. This is the offers checklist. We talked about this already in the training for the offer letter generator. This is basically where things happen for the offer letter. This is the sheet that the offer letter checks. We have this person right now, it's like not in work study, but eventually was a work study. So that's why it has an offer letter. And then basically this is like a hard copy of everything. Oh, not a hard copy, sorry. It comes from manifest dashboard. But as you can see here, from F to J. The manifest dashboard probably is like not super up to date, but I think what is important here is that these things query for the update sheet. As you can see here in the formula. So the offer letter generator, basically every time that it creates an offer letter, it doesn't report here. It reports to the updates. And then like you can see here, sign offer link and whatever. It reports to the updates, sends all data, and then we query from the updates, right? Can you think of why we do that instead of reporting here directly?
Can you just repeat again?
Yeah, so I'm saying that when an offer letter is generated, it doesn't report straight to this checklist sheet. It reports through updates, and then we query for the offer. Can you think about why we would like to do that?
It's maybe because we want it to be signed and saved first or something.
Yes. Yeah, I think we want to have it. The problem with putting it here is that if there is a change in the order of these people, like let's say that someone from, this is important from manifest dashboard. Let's say that this person is deleted. The row is deleted, it's not in the records anymore, whatever. Then what happens to the offer letter? If it was reported here straight, and this is like, instead of a formula, this is like text, then we won't have Ujesa Ademi lined up with Ujesa, right? Or if we go to Jose, this is not going to be Jose's offer letter. You see what I mean? Things would have shifted if you delete people and these things remain. So to avoid that problem, we try to have like again, this is the same principle for databases. We're not creating more databases outside of MasterDB. We are just getting data, thrown somewhere, for example, here on updates, and then we do queries. That's what we do. These, for example, is also not another database. because it's just importing what exists from the dashboard. So this is like another dashboard based on the dashboard that we have already. So just to like let you know, like just to make you aware of this, you delete one of these rows, it like nothing should happen. See, it comes back.
Yeah.
So that's a cool thing. It's like making sure that the structures that we have for these like ways to visualize the data are resilient to little mistakes like this. So this is the same principle. One of the ways that I like to do this is the array formula, which is like bring me from this column to this column all the way. We do the same here, right? Yeah, so I would recommend you doing that. The only setback of this is that you can't sort. For example, I'm gonna sort from A to Z. Oh, you can. Huh, interesting. Okay, whatever. I think I tried in the past and it didn't work. But I mean, even if you sort this, then since this is a formula, you're gonna bring the offer letter from the person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like the
Which
offer
is
letter will still correspond to the right person.
the offer letter will what?
Will correspond to the right person, right?
Yes, this is a good thing. So for example, here we have Nino, we have Emil, and this is like Emil's offer letter. Sorry.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing, that this thing can be resilient to all these changes. Cool. Let me see. Hopefully nothing happened here. Okay, cool. Yeah. Awesome. Let me just go to the checklist. Cool. So this is what we have. We have all the data, all the information. We're chilling, we're cruising. And here, yeah, I mean, we're back to Randy and everything is normal. Cool. What else do we have? Oh, okay. Let me see. Requests. This is something that Dan has barely uses. If someone requests a specific position, he tracks it here. Offer type override. This is probably one of the not hardest, but this has been an intense thing to develop, but it was like long overdue and necessary. Now, here in the dashboard, we don't have like, oh, this is the offer letter that the person is gonna have. We don't care about that here. We care about this here in the offers checklist. As you can see, this is a N, and it's a very long formula that first checks for the offer type override, then for like if it's if it's a US citizen, if it's in San Francisco, and if all these things don't match, then this person is a contractor. Okay. We also check for whether the person is on Paycom. If the person is already on Paycom, then we have this person already. Us. I think so. Where do we check for Paycom? Oh, crap. Offer type override. If if it's not in work study, then we check for this person to be in the United States. Okay, here's where we check for Paycom. If this is empty, then it's not. If this is not empty, then it's standard. If it's in San Francisco, it's standard. So we have all these like conditions, right? And the last one is like, if this person is in San Francisco, then it has the opportunity to get a social security number. All at the end, we say not in work study. So that's how we determine. However, the first condition here is the offer type override. Sometimes there are like specific situations that the student is not in San Francisco, but it's in the US somewhere, or the student is like in the process of another immigration status that it's outside of Minerva. There are many, many, many corner cases. To do that, we have this offer type override. So you basically put a name here. You can also say this person is not in work study, and that's what we want to have. Let's say I'm gonna do a Santa Cruz at uni.minerva.edu, and then this name should be brought automatically. I don't know why it doesn't, but whatever. And then I'm gonna say contractor. So we do go to the offer letter and we go to my name. Here, I'm a contractor. But if I delete this, then I have nothing. So this is just for us to have a way um, to bring a specific value, an override value to this. Why do we have to do this in another sheet? Is because here we have formulas that are important and that we want them to check things. And if we just like come here and like type it down manually, then we need a formula, then it's not gonna work, you know? Or if eventually we like copy this and then do all this for the formula to be for everyone, then we're gonna lose the information that we added, right? So that's why we don't do like manual changes like that. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Cool. This is another thing that it's an unfinished project, the hour limit override. Why is this important? It's because sometimes students start work study halfway through spring or like from fall to spring. And of course, they don't have all the time hours that a student that was for the entire academic year there. So then, for example, when like let's say a student started on spring, didn't have work study during the fall, and now we consider 10 weeks from fall to calculate their average. That's not good, right? Because their real average should only consider the weeks starting from spring semester. So then they always gonna have a very low average, which is an unreliable metric for managers. Because at the end it's like, oh, this person has like 2.3 average hours per week. So I think it's good. Let's give this person more work. And it shouldn't be that way. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, but still we have to figure some stuff out.
Yeah. These cases I think are very rare, but it's still like good to have this.
Yes, it's something good to have. That's true. This is a config. We talked about this last time when we talked about the approval sheet, and this is a calendar. Now, all these things, again, doesn't matter that much. This is a student by ID. We copy everything and just these two are added by ourselves. These two. We have the Paycom students by email. This is all completely from the master DB. We have the project codes again, completely from MasterDB. We have the Paycom managers by email. This is only up to column G is from the MasterDB. All these things we added them ourselves, which I think they don't have to be here. Well, they do. It's just that here we check so to see whether the manager is active. And that's information that we need from the dashboard. Yes, so yeah, so sometimes we get the data and then we add a couple columns with the data that we bring from the masters DB, which is completely all right. Just make sure that when new managers are added, these formulas make it all the way down to, you know, that's it. That's my 2 cents. Cool. Paycom department codes and San Francisco housing. Something that we have, and we don't update that often, but yeah. And then the form responses, we talked about this in the approval sheet. So those are all the elements that we have. These, for example, are like manager, like stuff from the master DB that we don't actually need to look at, but they are there. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay,
I think it looks good.
cool, because we're about to
Maybe
go to the code.
aside
Maybe
of
what?
this, basically just make sure that we all have access to like importing all of these data and stuff like that.
Yeah, right, that's true. I think they should, if they have access to, when you do this for the first time, it's nothing's gonna happen. It's gonna return a reference error, and you just have to put your mouse on top of it, hover on, and then it's gonna show you, do you want to allow to bring stuff? You click accept, and it's gonna bring all the data. And once you do that, everything is gonna be available, um, which is nice. Um,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
go to the
cool.
code.
Let's
Now,
do it.
to start with this, we have the field positions. These are, okay, so again, I think one of the patterns that you probably have seen here is that we want to have like a start the code file, the main code file with a bunch of constants, right? We have all these constants that have, you know, field positions, actions by column, what are the sheets that the name of the sheets that we are like interested on, what are the templates, right? Contractor offer template, standard offer template, stuff like that. Some of the code here we're not gonna talk about. For example, starting here, create offer docs, because we talked about that in the approval sheet training. So it's just gonna be up to here. Not that big of a deal. Basically just the edit functionality. But what is this? So basically we want to know, we want to have a field, you know, these are different fields that students have, and we want to have it mapped to a specific column name. Why? Because sometimes, for example, we don't, if we add a column here, let's say, oh, I want to know not the spring rotation, but the fall rotation as well, all together. Okay, if we want to do that, that's fine. But if we do that, all the stuff that we have downstream also will change the number. So if you added on rotation or rotation place, now instead of being 7, it's 8, and all these are going to be 9, 10, 11, 12, you know, they're going to increase by 1, right? All the columns after this. It will be very annoying to go down and come here and say, oh, here we used the city sign off, so I have to change it on the code. So instead of doing that, we just change it here, and then downstream on the code, it understands the changes because we were using this pattern. I think we talked about this when we talked about the offer letters, right? That we use this field position and actions by column. But it's pretty much the same. And then here we have the same thing, but the other way around. Which, you know, I mean, probably a good thing instead of having this manually is to just shift it, but we don't have to do that. Here, for example, we have the docs and signed offer letter link. And this is actions by column is mainly for the updates. So it's like a code to say what was the column that was modified in the dashboard. It means this action. So when that changes, then it reports the action here. You see what I mean? So if we keep this updated, then and something changes in the dashboard, it's going to report it like this in the updates. So this is important to keep updated too. Okay. Yeah, so just to clarify that, if you go to the dashboard and you changed MU, this is the column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We go to the code, 8 is company. So when you make a change and then the code, the function detects that it happens in column 8 on the dashboard, it will report company here. And same for manager, project code, stuff like that. Hope that makes sense. Because, cool. So here we have other stuff that this is mostly, all these things are mostly for the offer letter generator. All these things. And then, but let's go to the on edit button. So what is the on edit function? This is not a function that we just named on edit because we wanted to. This is actually, let me Google this, Google App Scripts. This is called simple triggers. and then we have event objects. So simple triggers are what it means like by triggers is something that it's a function or a functionality more generally that is fired every time something happens, right? And then we pass an E, which stands for event. So for example, this is an example functionality that if something changes, if there is a change in the sheet, we are going to do something. So this is something that is already embedded in Google Apps scripts, which is cool. There's nothing that we have to do. We just have to call this onEdit. The function called onEdit is going to run. Now, they are simple. Like one is like open, right? You can also do instead of onEdit change. You can do, edit, form submit. We actually use form submit in the summer. We have these are for Google Sheets. We have also simple triggers for Google Docs, stuff like that. I'm not making a promo about Google, but what is happening here is you know that there are functions that you can create and will run a functionality inside the function when
Give me
something
2 minutes.
happens.
I'll just say goodbye to you, right?
Oh, okay, no worries. In the meantime, I'm going to check something here. Maybe we can optimize this very quickly. Mhm.
Okay, we are back. Sorry.
Okay, cool, no worries. Um, cool. So another thing just to recap, you can name functions in Google Apps scripts that will run in specific circumstances, which is something that we want. Now, the onEdit here, onEdit, where is this? I think it runs every time someone makes an edit to the sheet, right? In general, like not to a specific sheet, to a spreadsheet in general, right? So for example, here, we get onEdit, and then when we do the get active spreadsheet, this basically returns the spreadsheet where these happened, you know, where the edit happened. So then what we do is like get active sheet, get name, and then we compare it to the current dashboard sheet name. So here, for example, manifest dashboard. If it is manifest, then it runs some stuff. It get from the event. Let me show you. From the event, we can get the range, the source, the user, the value, old value. We can get a lot of information. So we get the row, and then we get the old value. So then we basically run these things to have the new value and the first updated column, because sometimes you can make modifications like this, like modify all this and just remove it, so that's why we get the first column. Also, the updates can only happen per row. They can't happen per column, sadly. But sure, that we probably can, and we just need to get some. We just need to change the functionality here to adopt that. And then here we log the new values first and updated column. We don't have to have this log, actually remove it. And then for each value in the new values length, because these here basically gets all the values that were modified as an array. So for example, if you modify this, like this, actually, let me do an example so that we are on the same page. I'm gonna leave this here, new values, and let me search myself again. I'm going to take this and I'm going to remove them. And I'm going to do this too. If I remove them, nothing happens. Yeah, if I remove them, nothing happens. But I'm going to take this from Vanchi, no, Emil, and then I'm going to put it here to me. So copy paste. This should fire. See, this is firing the on edit. And now, how do we see these loggers? Pretty simple. Let's go to triggers or executions. Yeah, sorry, executions. This is something that is still running. It's a simple trigger, which is the on edit here. On edit is a simple trigger. So we go to the executions. This one is still running. We can see the state of the execution here. So it's still running, but it did the logs. So here, as you can see, we have the new name, the new value. Oh, sorry. We have the new values in the first updated column. These are one of the things that we want to log. So where are we? Loggers. This is the new value. It's also logged here. Oh, and it probably only logs the first thing here. I didn't know that. So yeah, here you can check the changes. Oh, interesting. This exceeded the maximum execution time. So it didn't perform all the functionality that we wanted. Interesting. What does that mean? That the update didn't report everything. So here, for example, it report unassigned, MU, but didn't report finance intern and TINA law. Oh, interesting. You see? So that's probably one of the things that is happening. It's not super underperformative that is timing out. Here we have another timed out. Look. Yes, that happened earlier today in the training. Yeah, so that's something that we should. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why maybe we should remove like role or something that like we don't really need, to get update on. Because like we're only using this tab, I guess, for the Paycom updates, and the only things we really need is like manager update or like department update.
Yeah,
that
that's true. So probably we can add like something that says CTD changes or something, and only take care of these things. Like if the column belongs to a column that can be updated by CTD, then we do it. Right.
I mean, in the
yeah,
case
no.
that it leaves out the important information, like if we cannot improve the efficiency of this, otherwise.
Right, that's true. Another thing that happens is this is very heavy, and let me show you how it works. So it basically for you. So okay, we saw that new values is an array, right? And these new values is an array. It has a length, and the length is the values that we added. So first, for each value that we go, we get the first updated column, right? And then we add the new value. We just basically get the new value from the array, and then we do the process update. We give it a sheet where it happens, the updated row, the modified column, the new value, and the old value, right? Or you're going to see why we need both values here, where we have updated row and modified column. So this is basically the coordinate of the cell where it happened. Now, we check whether the modified cell corresponds to the relevant field, and then returns the position as an integer to check whether the modified field matters for a field position object. Modified field. Okay. So basically here, it finds the position and returns whether the position is in the modified column. Sorry. Where are we here? These are the field positions. So basically how this works is for each field position, we do find and we iterate over the positions that we have here. These ones, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, and then return true if eventually we find the modified column, right? And if a relevant field was modified, if this is true, the modified field, then we handle project codes on company change. So this is a first thing. Oh, this is another thing that can make it more performative. Because it runs this function and then it checks if modified field is the company, right? So this is only happens when we change the company, which is this effect that I showed you that you change MP to MU and it shows the drop down, or it shows the unassigned. That's what it does. Basically gets the dashboard sheet, the impacted project code cell. And if the new value is MU, it gives it unassigned. Impacted project cell, you see, it gives you the updated row and everything. If it's MP, then it gives this the drop down menu. And if it's nothing, if it's the same for both, then it returns, it's a validation that has null. Let me see. This one still has the, oh, sorry. Yeah. It basically returns null so that you don't have anything. Because in the past, I think if you have nothing here, then this one would be like, oh, it's still a dropdown or still unassigned. So now if you delete this, it should return empty. See, okay, cool. So these are the three things that can happen. It can be either MU, MP, or empty. And it basically fills up accordingly. And this is what the functions do, pretty much. It gets a new data validation, it gives the project code list to give the dropdown, and then it sets the validation rule. First, it sets the value to empty, and then it sets the validation rule. Because sometimes you have unassigned and then set the validation rule, and it will be like, oh, this thingy is not unassigned, is not part of the project codes list. So we can do the validation rule. Yeah, this took some time to figure out. But basically, this is what handles that effect. It gets the modified column. If the modified column is the company, then this is cool. We're gonna end the sheet is the same sheet that we have. Then yeah, interesting. It's interesting that we passed the dashboard, the sheet here when we then call the dashboard sheet again. And then impacted project code cell, we get the cell, and then we do the changes. Cool. And then the other one is a post. The post update is the one that actually brings it to the update sheet. And this is the one that is probably very low performative because of this. You see that here we set value multiple times one by one. There's probably a way to set this, set the values in one go and make just one request. But okay, so how it works, it basically logs the new value first. And then if there's a new value, because sometimes it's just empty, if there's actually a new value, then we proceed. If it's empty, we do nothing. We don't want to, post things that are empty. Cool. So then the update sheet, we get the update sheet first here. Then we get the student info. And this student info is this function here. What it simply does is it goes to the dashboard sheet and it gets all the info and it returns these 3 parameters that we get from the dashboard. There's probably a more performant way to do this again. Then we have the new row number. We give this row number get last row +1. Okay, so this is because I remember this was a very epic fail. So I was getting the last row, but then if you don't add the +1, it will give you this last row, right? This is the latest row that you have. If you don't add the +1, it's going to keep modifying this one and then overscribe over this one, overwrite, which is not cool because then you're losing data. So you just add the +1, so then it gives you the next one from the last one, which is the one that is empty. And that is good news. Then it gets the action number. You see that here we get actions by column, and we get for each number, the modified field is basically the number of the column that we're modifying. And here it iterates through the actions by column, which is this one. And once it matches this number here, then we return true. We return the actual action number, the code. And then the action code is the actions by column, the action number, which is the one that we got from here. This is confusing, isn't it? Or are you following?
I think I lost track, but it's all right. I'll rewatch this video.
Okay, I'm just trying to. I mean, this is easier if like probably learn a little bit of JavaScript if you don't know already. If you do, then it gets easier. But this is just JavaScript, and the function find is just a way to iterate through the elements of this array or this object, and it just returns this once it matches this condition. So it returns the code, which is basically just a number, right? Like a number from this array, and then it just brings the action by column. That's it. It's not a biggie. The biggie is this one. When it goes to the update sheet, gets the range of the new row number, the first column, and sets the value. Here it initializes a date, then it gives a student email, then the name, then the Paycom ID, then the action code, and then the new value. So it does all these things at different rows, at a different request, while it can happen in one request. And that's it. Like, that's how eventually, you know, we went through all this process update, and the process update runs too. And then there are more little functions run inside of all these things. But eventually that's how the unedit happens. And that's how we get a log of all the data. Pretty crazy. Any questions that you have right now?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I might have questions afterwards, like once I deep dive in this, but yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and I think that there is still things that can be done to. I mean, I still have a month or something working here. I can probably get some time and do work on performance for this one. But I think just one of the important things to notice is this. These needs to be modified constantly. I mean, as things change, you know, you saw that we were modifying the manifest dashboard, nothing was happening, and it's because of this. So yeah, I think there, as I said, things that we can do to make it more performative, and we can talk about them. Oh, well, I'm still here too. Email notifications. This is a really cool one because oh, this should be false. LOL. This is a really cool one. This basically here we have like very nice functions, right? Send individual email, get Google document as HTML. You have seen these before. These are the utils that we use to send emails and get templates from Google Docs. But basically this is the function that is run to send emails when there has been a change. You know, it sends an email to, you know, student, previous manager, new manager, stuff like that. And then it CCs people like this. Again, this is the same pattern that we've talked in the past. This is the notifications file ID for the template. Basically, if the form is not accepting responses. Well, okay, one question probably is, why do we want to do this when the form is not accepting responses?
Why do we need to do what?
This is since the update emails.
Yeah.
This is the email that tells you, hey, FYI, this is your new position.
Mhm.
And it's going to start next pay period. So the pay period that we don't allow people to report hours from the approval sheet is the second week, correct? Of the pay period.
Yes.
Wait a minute. No, that's the one that we allow people to.
I think they enter actually in second week hours.
Yes, on their second week is when they report the hours, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
And they
Okay,
get paid in the first week of the next pay period, right?
that's true. Exactly, yes. So when the responses is false, that means that a pay period just closed, right? Is the first week of the next pay period.
Mhm.
So that's when we notify folks, hey, the pay period is over. Starting now, this is your new manager, right? Or this is your new position, or starting now, you're terminated. This is how that happens. Yes, so that's why this has to be false. I had it true because I was doing some tests earlier, but cool. This is very standard. We just get the data, we do get values, stuff like that for the current dashboard and the previous dashboard. Now we iterate through the current dashboard. Which one is the current dashboard? You will guess it from here, manifest dashboard. A cool thing is that if you have a constant here, you can access it, or a function, you can access it in any file as long as you're in the same project. That's cool. So we get all the data, classic. And then we iterate through the current dashboard and we say, this is a position update. I want to have the position that was updated, if there was any, right? It just basically gets the row from the current dashboard and then gets whether the position was updated. Field position update bool is this one, right? Which in terms of the spreadsheet is this one. So if this is false, if this is true or false or whatever, we receive that data from here, correct? So we just get it. Okay, position update, we log this. If this is true, then we do some stuff. If this is not true, we do nothing. But again, here we get all the data, student email, name, manager, whatever. Then we get the message from the Google Sheet. And we get the subject by getting the name of that template, which is this one, correct? And then we modify the message when it says student name, we change it to student name, tuning a role, new manager, role, previous manager. Then we get the recipients. The first recipient is a student email, but then it gets tricky. If there is a current manager email, we add this. Why do we have to check this? Because when you remove a student from work study, then comes here, goes to manifest. Where am I? Let's search for myself again. And then goes and does this. No more manager. That changes things by a lot, because then the data that we get from this manager is empty. There's nothing there. And then when we push to the recipients an empty array, then we get in trouble, because when we send the email, then it says, oh, oops, nothing happened. Or like, whoops, it happened, but we don't recognize that email. So that is problematic. That's why we do a check first. And we also do a check for if there's a previous manager email and if it's different from the current manager. because sometimes the change happens only in the position or it happens on something else, but the manager remains the same. When that happens, we don't push the previous manager because it will be the same and the manager will get the email twice. And that's also annoying. Then we do recipients.join. Do you remember why we have to do this join, by the way?
Hmm. No, I don't think so.
Okay. What is this data type? Is it a number, a string, an array?
String, right?
This recipients this is an array.
Oh, that's an array. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see it right now.
Okay. So this is an array. And then you also know that it's an array not only for this, it's because we can do the push. Push is a method in JavaScript for arrays. It's like .append in
Oh,
Python.
okay. Adding new items, elements, whatever.
Yes, it's like you add elements to the end of the array. And then we do join. Join is basically, you have seen on Python the
Yeah, the
this one,
database.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you add join stuff. This is the same, but in JavaScript. So then you basically, for all the elements of the array, you like compress them in just one string. And this is something that needs to happen because this function, the built-in function in JavaScript only accepts for Google Apps Script, sorry, for the Gmail API, expects an array of emails, a string, sorry, string of emails, all split by comma in order to send the email. It's very weird why they want to do that, but it's probably because it's better for their infrastructure. I don't know. Anyhow, we send the email here in this line of code, as we have done, and then we do the update tracker, and then the copy paste hard values. The update tracker, basically, the only thing that it does is it changes from update to official, because this only happens if the thingy says update. This thingy. By thingy, I mean this. So whenever there's an update and it's official, what Dan says, this is an update. And then the code figures that out and finds it. Then we say set the range and everything, it changes to official. And then where were we? Okay, and then it does copy and paste hard values. This is a function that does copy and paste. Here, basically, the first function is get hard values. And by hard, I mean it's just like brings the values, but only the values, not the formulas, which is this one, correct? And then it says put hard copy, which is this other function. So basically gets the copy sheet. So there is an OG sheet, which is a manifest, right? As you can see here, current dashboard, and then the copy sheet, which is the place where the values are going to be pasted, which is the previous dashboard. And what we do is just get the hard copy, get the copy, get the hard copy, and then put the hard copy, which is to do the paste. And that's what we do. It's just a copy and paste, set values. So now, let's say that here we had, let's go to me and myself. Now we have finance intern. If we go to the dashboard and after letting me know of everything, instead of having nothing, we're going to have finance intern and stuff like that here. So then if all these in this row is the same as all these in this row, then there's no reason for this to be true, correct? It would be just false because everything would be the same. And then the next time this function won't be triggered for this particular student because it's just going to pass. This one position update is going to be false and nothing's going to happen. So that's how we make sure that we have information from the past and from today. And that's how we compare it, and that's how we make sure that we don't notify the student about this again. Cool. Any questions?
Not really. At this point, I don't think so.
Okay, cool.
I got the logic. I mean, it's pretty clear.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Most of the logic of all these automations are basically what you would do if you were to do this manually. We just create a
Yeah.
job that does it
Exactly.
for yourself. Yeah, same order, same energy, same everything. But yeah, that's how it happens. And that's all I have for today.
Thank you so much
Cool.
for sharing.
I'm going to stop recording.